आत्मा जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, फीलिंग की बात कर रहे हैं. And it's not only machine, you know, there is a history, there is a culture, there is a relationship of the writer with the text or the concept or the imagination. You know, you were talking about school time. We had a very good teacher of history. His name was Jed Saeed, you know. He was the person who could stand in the class, and everybody was used to keep silent because of his aura, persona which he had, you know. And we used to be very serious in his class, and that's why our general knowledge become very good, you know. In later phase, many of the people cracked, you know, civil services because of him. And he, at this stage, he retired in 2000, year 2000, but today is 2020. After 20 years, on foundation day of our school, which is 16 September, you know, this is not far away, he has sent a message to our school friends, you know, alumni. And that message I want to share with you, and that will give you what he is, you know, in personality, and which is very rare, you know. Let's see. This is this is his story. Currently, what he is, you know, he is BA, BL, MAd, National Laboratory Teacher, worked at Sainik School Telia from 1965 to year 2000, and currently he has given a picture with he is enjoying his time in front of Niagara Falls because his kids are there. But he writes a message, you know, in 1953. This is his picture, you know, in the left side, at age of 16. And in 2020, this is his picture at the right side. And in the middle, he writes a message. And the message is, मैं हिंदी में पढ़ता हूँ, वो हिंदी में लिखा हुआ है. इकबाले दहर से या गर्दिशे तकदीर से, इकबाले दहर से या गर्दिशे तकदीर से, अब नहीं मिलती मेरी सूरत मेरी तस्वीर से. Can you imagine the depth it has? I believe machine will never be able to translate, decipher the code which is there, you know. So that kind of thing, you know, we always, you know, as a translator, we have to be sensitive enough to all these feelings, and the future is for the feelings only, because as I said, functional thing will be done by machine, and the rest quality thing has to be done by human minds. It has been a very wonderful observation from your side, especially about our ethos, culture, which should reach out to 640 crore people on this earth. And India being very rich in various languages, 1600, you know, languages on average. And if, you know, the way the technology is progressing and penetrating, and if there are certain triggers like open sources, which is, you know, another culture in making, which is allowing everybody to collaborate and produce something which everybody can enjoy, you know, collective. On the same line, I have tried to do some experiments and launched online dictionary, you know, collaborative dictionary called Legal Course. You can go and add some value, donate some terms, and for the common benefit. Whenever I get time, I also go and add some terms there. So on same lines, you know, the legalcourse.com I have launched, luckily. I wanted to inform all our friends on this auspicious day that we have also started a Vicharak Manch in order to think and develop critical thinking among masses, at least critical thinking among own self first, and then reach out to people to translate, to rethink all those points which has been lost in history, which was misinterpreted, etc., you know. So these are all learning process that we continue to grow on. And you were talking about translation, you know, error-free translations. We have, you know, in 2018 with our interns, 200 interns, you know, we did certain experiment, and documented it, and that resulted in development of a rubric. We call it Modlingua rubric. So we have used human intervention for editing, certain text. We have also used machine technology like Grammarly, that corrects your errors. And we learned that we can reduce, the time of editing by, 50%. So if you are using machine and reducing your time of, editing by 50%, and if you use that 50% gain time for betterment of a style, betterment of, beauty of the language, etc., it can be a revolutionary step, for our system. So that's what our contribution or development. It may not be, considered as a mass level thing, but we have been doing this thing. And if I would like to appeal, all our friends who are watching us to keep on doing experiments, on these lines, and do friendship with technology, so that we increase our efficiency, we do betterment in the quality, we do betterment, machine can do functional translation for you, it's for sure. And there is a lot of, functional work, message from one corner to another, buses are passing, shipment has been sent, those kind of things, click here, go there, those instructional thing, machine can do good in that. But when we are talking about expression, perhaps that thing, we will need to kind of work.
Ravi, I would like to interrupt over here.
Yes, sir.
Because while we were studying literature, one thing was always there, like poetical license, isn't it?
Right.
Like the language license. So I think even a translator has got his license, how he is going to translate the verse or translate the poem or translate. I agree with you that instructional sentences can be, translated, but the feeling part, and once a writer writes a verse, as I told you, it's a challenge I have given regarding if you can translate the Ghalib verses.
I will give you a response on that, sir.
Okay.
And
Dr. Kanan has also said that he tried with the Kabir verses. Clear? So that a sense, and all languages, even if it is a Bhojpuri or if it is a Maithili, these all language have their own beauty. Clear? I will sum up that in that beauty, even the structure of the words, even the phonetics of the words, and all these things, mean that classic cannot be, replicated by either the cloud computing or even with artificial intelligence or even with the, machine learning. So I'm not very against with this computer, but yes, the real essence, because, and that is the challenge for the translator. Clear? Because even if the machine has translated, again it has to be redone by the people. So if translator can do that work, because many a time I translate from English to Hindi, but it becomes difficult for my staff to convert from English to Punjabi. They take more time. I take less time to draft from Hindi to English or English to Hindi. So I'm not boosting upon that, but yes, it is a challenge.
Right, sir. In fact, on that part only, I was coming to you. जिसको हम बोलते हैं, आत्मा जिसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, फीलिंग की बात कर रहे हैं. And it's not only machine, there is a history, there is a culture, there is a relationship of the writer with the text or the concept or the imagination. you were talking about school time. We had a very good teacher of history. His name was Jed Saeed. He was the person who could stand in the class, and everybody was used to keep silent because of his aura, persona which he had. And we used to be very serious in his class, and that's why our general knowledge become very good. In later phase, many of the people cracked civil services because of him. And he, at this stage, he retired in year 2000, but today is 2020. After 20 years, on foundation day of our school, which is 16 September, this is not far away, he has sent a message to our school friends, alumni. And that message I want to share with you, and that will give you what he is, in personality, and which is very rare, Let's see. This is this is his story. Currently, what he is, he is BA, BL, MEd, National Laboratory Teacher, worked at Sainik School Telia from 1965 to year 2000, and currently he has given a picture with he is enjoying his time in front of Niagara Falls because his kids are there. But he writes a message, in 1953. This is his picture, in the left side, at age of 16. And in 2020, this is his picture at the right side. And in the middle, he writes a message. And the message is, मैं हिंदी में पढ़ता हूँ, वो हिंदी में लिखा हुआ है, इकबाले दहर से या गर्दिशे तकदीर से, इकबाले दहर से या गर्दिशे तकदीर से, अब नहीं मिलती मेरी सूरत मेरी तस्वीर से. Can you imagine the depth it has? I believe machine will never be able to translate, decipher the code which is there. So that kind of thing, we always, as a translator, we have to be sensitive enough to all these feelings, and the future is for the feelings only, because as I said, functional thing will be done by machine, and the rest quality thing has to be done by human minds. With this, sir, before we close, I would like to come back to our friends who are watching us, and if there are any questions for the panel, and it has been very enriching panel. So any questions, my friend, please welcome. Ravi Bhushan ji is saying, I think all genres of translation have been brought in discussion. Can we think of having a specific discussion on a specific genres of translation? Yes, certainly, Ravi Bhushan ji, perhaps next time. Because today is a translation day and there are a variety of people involved here. So we have been able to talk variety of things. It was as we had planned it for 1.5 hours, but now it is a spillover to 2 hours plus. And still I see lots of people are watching us and we are doing healthy discussions. So emotionally, I also feel it is charged because of the response that you have all friends given. I believe if you have any specific questions to any of the panelists, please welcome. Kaniska is saying, what are the challenges if we want to venture into entrepreneurship in the field of translation, especially the Indian languages? Challenges are quality of translators, the quality conscious translators. That's that. As I have been promoting entrepreneurship, among translators, that's my forte. Kanisk, कौशिक जी, आपके इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर मैं प्राइवेटली भी दे दूंगा बहुत स्पेसिफिकली. अगर आप चाहें तो वीडियो भी देख सकते हैं हमारे यूट्यूब चैनल पे, मॉडलिंगवा के चैनल पे. ओपनिंग चैनल वीडियो भी वही एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप पे है, entrepreneurship among translators, and you will find variety of talks that I have done at various
I think he should get involved with nearly 20 Indian languages and try to see the most of the religious epics to translate.
Right. There was one question also on about spiritualism.
Great.
How to handle spiritual books and all, that is the best thing, that comes into picture. And so there are certain niche market, for businesses.
Yes.
Which is spiritualism. Another is medical tourism. Third one is, you
Ravi,
know,
Ravi, just
yes,
excuse me. I
yeah.
will not name, but the Bhagavad Gita, you know, from the Gorakh press cost 30 rupees, and from a another, you know, I will not name. The name starts from I and finish with N. So that organization sell the English translation of the Bhagavad Gita, same everything for more than 350 rupees or 400 rupees. So it is the entrepreneurship only from the organizations. There are many, places in India with the godmans, and they are, you know, marketing, and I will say they have become the entrepreneurs for the translation in the local languages as well. And that's a good money they are making, and most of their scholars who are in those ashrams, they are also working on those scripts. And yes, as the answer is that our civilization, because you see the American civilization or Canada or Australia or New Zealand, they are just 200 years old. See the wealth we have got on the spiritualism, on the languages, on the human behaviors. No other country, no other society has that much of rich sources to be translated and to be told to the world, yes, we stand here. So that is the way I think the translators should get involved. And yes, may not, if people don't want to come 100% into it, at least part-time, at least they can devote 1 or 2 hours of their daily 24 hours and at least start doing it. And one day, you know, like a person who after 30 years could bring the water to his village, yes, within a year or so, they can also translate a good amount of books into the languages where people can read those and get benefited. Yeah.
There is another question that is there for Dr. Ajit Khanna, and the question is there is a mention about untranslatability on, you know, I recall you had mentioned something on Derrida, no? Deconstructionist. It's a very revolutionary, you know, concept that Derrida gave. Can you elaborate a little bit on it, Ajit?
Yeah. See, everyone was talking about, in this whole panel, we were all talking about the nuanced sense. If every word has 2 aspects of understanding, 2 meanings, 2 aspects of meanings. One is literal meaning, another one is the nuanced meaning, the denotation and the connotation that you call. When I say mango, it is only mango. But in Hindi, you have something called Aam Aadmi. You can't say mango man. If you are a Hindi speaker, I don't know if the person is Hindi speaker. So anyway, the literal sense and the nuanced sense that Vijayendra Shuklaji has brilliantly pointed out. I saw a girl in the market. This is exactly what we are all talking about. Can machine understand this untranslatable, this untranslatability? Can you compare the uncomparable? They say, no? Incomparable. You can't compare Kabir with Rahim. You can't compare Rahim with Bardiyar. Bardiyar has translated his own, like Rabindranath Tagore, he has translated his own texts from Tamil to English. He has done more than 272 translations in just 39 years. He has translated Victor Hugo's a very, very popular novel called Les Miserables, The Miserables, as if he lived with Victor Hugo, as if he lived in France. He learned French for only 10 years in Pondicherry when he was hiding from the British. He was there just for 10 years, man. I'm doing for this profession for 30 years. Even now I'm shivering, I'm trembling to find right word. This right word is untranslatable word. Derrida calls it untranslatability, undoability if you want. Undoable. You can't do this because it's undone in your own culture. Sir, you was talking. He was reading that history teacher, that Hindi shairi, right? The Canadian Niagara Falls. So that one, I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm not a Hindi speaker. I'm not an Urdu speaker either. I don't know what you guys, but you all Hindi speakers understood what exactly it is. You're all praising it. So that praise cannot come from me naturally. This is untranslatability. Ravi might call me, यही है यार, ये होता है यार, ऐसे किया यार, ये सब कह सकता है, लेकिन वो जो भावना है, that feeling, you cannot translate that. Come on, that is impossible. But if artificial intelligence can do it, that will be a great challenge. That will be a great challenge, I'm sure. But without human intervention, I don't know if that can be done. In 150 years from now, they say human beings can travel against the time. We can accelerate against the time. In 150 years from now, I read somewhere in science fiction.
Well taken, my friend. There is another last question, or maybe observation, which Vijendra Shukla sir could like to give it on. When there is a question about entrepreneurship, among Indian languages, I believe translation plus artificial intelligence and technology together can give a good opportunity to new startups, no? Would you like to take up this, sir?
Definitely. I think the question is a very relevant question, and it is just in continuation with what Professor Ajit was trying to say. We always say machine learning, and we always think that machine is to learn from a human. But the other aspect also exists. Human learn from machine as well. And it's a both way. The first instance of something not known to me, I open Google and try to search. And then I say that, oh, technology doesn't support me. I think that does not gel well. What I'm trying to say is in education, or for that matter, knowledge transfer from source A to source B, there are two different approaches. One approach is from known to unknown and from unknown to known. If I believe, I don't know whether should I believe it or not, it's altogether different question. But if I believe that Ramayana, Mahabharata kind of things were written by Rishi Muni by closing their eyes, sitting below the tree and imagining all characters, and those characters even today we are able to see in our real life. There exists Karna, there exists Rama, there exists everybody. If we look at some other concept of say Harry Potter, in Harry Potter also, there is something which has got its own flavor. And that particular component, when I'm trying to translate, or if I'm trying to create, say, Harry Potter in Hindi, then definitely the aspect of untranslatability will come. And perhaps what I was trying to understand, I think Professor Ajit is a better person to know that particular component. But in my view, this untransferability is a fundamentally entrepreneurship scope for our students, our newcomers to understand it. In my age, what I understood as a technology, how I use as a technology is altogether a different ball game. But how new engineers, budding engineers or budding translators, they are coming, how will they use it? It's a different ball game. I do not know how to operate a new remote for a new TV which has been brought home. But my young son will be able to understand it faster. And that is from unknown to known travel will have to be done. and there are variety of scopes available for it, and that's where this cloud translation concept has been inserted by technology. Technology doesn't do anything on its own. So saying that machine translation cannot translate, I already agreed upon. But if the avenues are generated by technology to practice your approach, to understand many things from machine and teach machine many things, that will evolve what is called as a knowledge base, and that knowledge base will eventually be some entity which will really work for these kind of knowledge transfers, whether it may be translation, transcription, whatsoever. So entrepreneurship has to be developed and calculated in that way. I will just give one small example. Admiring is a word. Admire is a word. Admiring can be generated. Admiringly can be generated. Admiringliness can be generated. And who knows, somebody may write admiringlinessly. So he is converting adverb to adjective, adjective to adverb from particular noun, and he is using it as a verb. So these varieties are coming up, and one has to really study that particular component, and studying that component, technology can help. As I told you, I used Hindi to understand English. I urge entrepreneurs to use technology to learn something which is not known to them, and then definitely they will be in a better area to work as such. In India, good number of opportunities are available. Only thing is, we are not approaching right people at right moment, perhaps, and that's why some struggle we observe in a real field. I think I tried to answer the way I understand the question. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you, sir. That's with this, we come to end of our session. And if you look at, our session's tagline, which is tagline of International Federation of Translators, see at the top, it says, finding the words for a world in crisis. This crisis period in Corona time has given us lots of opportunity to rethink, about ourselves, in the system of uncertainties. We planned for 100 years, we planned for 200 years, and nature can take a turn and churn everything. And that phase of time, we find no words, no solutions. So with this, point, I would like to thank everybody here at our panel, as well as all our viewers who were with us, and request you all to please forward, and share this video information about our session with your friends. Maybe if somebody can listen to us and get some enlightenment, some idea that can trigger, more research, more activities, more entrepreneurship, it will certainly bring a positive change in India as well as in our society. Thank you very much, sirs, and thank you, and good night to all my friends who are watching us, and good night to all the panelists. Thanks again.
Thank
sirs.
you. Thank you. Good night.
Thanks, Ravi. Bye.
Thank you. I put the session off. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, Ravi.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Dr. Vijender, and good night, Dr. Anand. Thank you.